The story of the 12 apostles is one of profound faith and unwavering courage. These men were ordinary people called by Jesus to fulfill an extraordinary mission, to spread his teachings to the world. But what truly captivates is not just their dedication to this cause, but how they faced incredible adversity, persecution, and even death for their beliefs. The apostles' lives after Jesus' crucifixion were filled with both miracles and trials. Each of them met a unique and often tragic end, yet their deaths were imbued with purpose, symbolizing the ultimate sacrifice for their faith. From Rome to India, Spain to Armenia, their journeys reshaped history and gave birth to the Christian Church. As we explore how these 12 figures met their end, their stories remind us of the enduring power of belief and the cost of standing firm in the face of unimaginable challenges. Simon Peter, a humble fisherman, became the cornerstone of the Christian Church. Jesus called him the rock upon which the church would be built. Despite his devotion, Peter was human, marked by moments of weakness, such as his denial of Christ during the Passion. After Jesus' resurrection, Peter became a bold leader, traveling widely to preach the gospel. Tradition holds that Peter was martyred in Rome during Emperor Nero's reign. Sentenced to crucifixion, Peter requested to be hung upside down, believing he was unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus. His death, though tragic, symbolized ultimate humility and devotion. It marked the birth of the Church's central figure, revered as the first pope. Enjoying the story? Like, subscribe, and share to support us. Let's continue. James the Greater, brother of John, was among the first to follow Jesus and one of the closest to him. Known for his fiery zeal, he earned the nickname Son of Thunder. James played a significant role during Jesus' ministry, witnessing key moments such as the Transfiguration. His devotion to spreading Christianity made him a target of persecution. He became the first apostle to be martyred when King Herod Agrippa ordered his execution by the sword around 2044 AD. Tradition also ties James to Spain, where he is said to have preached before returning to Jerusalem. His shrine in Santiago de Compostela remains a sacred pilgrimage site, drawing millions who honor his legacy. John, the beloved disciple, shared a unique closeness with Jesus, being present at many pivotal moments of his ministry. After the crucifixion, John took care of Mary, Jesus' mother, fulfilling Christ's command. Unlike the other apostles, John lived to old age. He was exiled to the island of Patmos, where he received divine visions that formed the book of Revelation. Tradition tells of attempts to martyr John, including immersing him in boiling oil, yet he miraculously survived. His long life allowed him to become a cornerstone of early Christian theology, with his writings shaping much of the New Testament. John's peaceful death contrasts the violent ends of his peers, marking him as a testament to endurance and grace. Andrew, Peter's brother, was the first to follow Jesus, a disciple of John the Baptist. Andrew's quick recognition of Jesus as a Messiah set the stage for his role in spreading Christianity. After Jesus' death, Andrew journeyed through Greece, preaching to those who had never heard the gospel. His mission ended in Patras, where he was condemned to die for his faith, bound not nailed to an X-shaped cross. Andrew reportedly preached to onlookers for 3 days before succumbing to death. This act of courage solidified his legacy, and his distinctive cross remains a powerful Christian symbol. Andrew's story exemplifies steadfastness, even in the face of suffering. Philip, though less prominently featured in the Gospels, played a key role in introducing others to Jesus. Known for his deep understanding of Scripture, Philip connected with diverse audiences, including Greeks seeking the truth about Jesus. His death remains debated. Some accounts claim he was crucified upside down, while others suggest he was stoned. Regardless, Philip's missionary work extended Christianity's reach and demonstrated his tireless dedication. His ability to bridge cultural divides underscores his importance in the apostles' collective mission. Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel, is one of the most enigmatic apostles. While little is known of his life, his death has become a harrowing symbol of unwavering faith. Tradition holds that Bartholomew was martyred in Armenia, where he was flayed alive and beheaded for spreading Christianity. Despite the gruesome nature of his death, His commitment to his mission reflects an unshakable belief in Jesus. Artistic depictions of Bartholomew often emphasize the brutality of his martyrdom, showing him holding his flayed skin. His story is one of courage and endurance, inspiring Christians to stand firm in their convictions. Matthew, the former tax collector, represents a profound transformation. Once despised by his people for working with the Roman occupiers, he was called by Jesus and became an emblem of redemption. As an apostle, Matthew used his understanding of writing to document the life and teachings of Jesus in the gospel that bears his name. Tradition suggests he traveled to Ethiopia and Persia, spreading the gospel among those unfamiliar with Christ. His death remains debated. Some sources claim he was martyred by stabbing, while others suggest burning or stoning. Regardless, Matthew's life and death symbolize the universality of Christ's message, showing that even the most marginalized can become vital contributors to God's work. Thomas, famously known as Doubting Thomas, is remembered for his initial skepticism after Jesus' resurrection. Yet, once he encountered the risen Christ, his faith became unshakable. Thomas's journey took him far, with tradition pointing to India as the site of his missionary work. In India, he established Christian communities that continue to thrive today. Thomas met his end when he was speared to death, an act of martyrdom that marked his unwavering commitment. His story reflects the human struggle to believe and the power of personal transformation through faith. James, son of Alphaeus, is among the more mysterious apostles, with little recorded about his life and mission. Often referred to as James the Less, he is believed to have worked quietly but effectively to spread the gospel. Tradition holds that James was martyred in Egypt, where he was stoned or crucified. Though his life remains shadowed by uncertainty, his legacy is a reminder that not all contributions need to be prominent to be significant. Jude, also known as Thaddeus, is remembered for his faithfulness and boldness. Often confused with Judas Iscariot, he adopted the name Thaddeus to distinguish himself. Jude is credited with spreading Christianity in the Middle East, and tradition suggests he was martyred alongside Simon the Zealot in Beirut. Accounts describe him being clubbed or axed to death. His enduring faith, despite such a violent end, exemplifies the courage that defined the apostles. Simon the Zealot was a fiery and passionate follower of Christ. Some traditions link him to the Jewish sect known as the Zealots, though his title may simply reflect his fervent devotion. After Jesus' death, Simon traveled widely, spreading the gospel in regions as far as Persia. His martyrdom is described differently in various accounts. He may have been crucified, sawed in half, or even died peacefully of old age. His unrelenting zeal, regardless of his end, remains a hallmark of his character. Judas Iscariot, the apostle whose betrayal of Jesus altered history, is remembered with infamy. Though he spent 3 years following Jesus, greed and disillusionment led him to betray his master for 30 pieces of silver. Overwhelmed with guilt, Judas returned the money and took his own life. His death is recounted in 2 ways: by hanging and by a gruesome fall that led to his body bursting open. Judas's tragic end serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of betrayal and the dangers of losing faith. After Jesus' resurrection, the apostles gathered strength and courage, knowing their mission would be fraught with danger. They dispersed across the known world, carrying the message of Christ to regions as diverse as Africa, Asia, and Europe. Each faced opposition, yet their resilience forged the foundation of the early church. The bond they shared became their strength, even as they faced individual trials. After the resurrection, the apostles were no longer the same. From the moment they witnessed the risen Christ, their fears were replaced by an unshakable confidence. Yet, this transformation came with a cost. The world they were tasked to change was hostile to their message. Religious leaders who had condemned Jesus sought to suppress his followers. The Roman Empire, though initially indifferent, soon became a fierce persecutor. Still, the apostles persevered. They knew that spreading the message of Christ would lead to their suffering, but their faith burned brighter than their fear. Each apostle took his mission to different parts of the known world, knowing they might never see each other again. Their bond, forged in the crucible of discipleship, was unbreakable. Even apart, they remained united in purpose. As Peter journeyed to Rome, he became the central figure of the growing Christian community. His bold preaching in the heart of the empire drew many to Christ, but also attracted enemies. Peter's final days were marked by relentless persecution under Emperor Nero. Arrested and imprisoned, he faced his impending death with humility. When sentenced to crucifixion, Peter famously requested to be hung upside down, a reflection of his deep reverence for Jesus. This act of humility solidified Peter as a cornerstone of the church, and his martyrdom became a defining moment for Christianity in Rome. Even in death, Peter's legacy as the rock of the church endured, influencing generations of believers. James the Greater's unwavering devotion led him to become the first apostle to be martyred. After years of preaching and performing miracles, he returned to Jerusalem to face mounting hostility. King Herod Agrippa saw the growing influence of the Christians as a threat and ordered James to be executed. Taken to the sword, James faced his death with courage, inspiring those around him. Tradition suggests that his relics were later transported to Spain, where they became a focal point of pilgrimage. The Camino de Santiago, the Way of St. James, remains a testament to his enduring impact. Pilgrims from all over the world walk this sacred path, following in his footsteps. John, the beloved apostle, was spared the violent deaths of his peers, yet his trials were no less profound. Exiled to the island of Patmos by Roman authorities, John found himself isolated from his fellow believers. It was here, in solitude, that he experienced divine revelations that would become the Book of Revelation. These visions of the end times were vivid, terrifying, and awe-inspiring. They offered hope to persecuted Christians, reminding them of the ultimate victory of Christ. John's exile ended in his old age, and he returned to Ephesus, where he continued to guide the early church. Unlike the other apostles, John's peaceful death marked him as a symbol of endurance and divine protection. Andrew's journey took him to Greece, where his dedication to spreading the gospel led to his martyrdom. In the city of Patras, he was arrested for his teachings and condemned to crucifixion. But Andrew's cross was unlike others. Bound to an X-shaped cross to prolong his suffering, Andrew remained steadfast. For 3 days, he preached to onlookers, his voice unwavering despite his agony. His words converted many, even as his life ebbed away. Today, the cross of St. Andrew stands as a powerful symbol of faith and sacrifice, reminding Christians of the strength found in unwavering belief. Philip's story is one of quiet resilience and wisdom. Known for his ability to connect with diverse communities, Philip played a pivotal role in bridging cultural divides. He traveled to Phrygia and Hierapolis, areas steeped in Greek traditions, to spread the message of Christ. His eloquence attracted many followers, but also drew the ire of local authorities. Philip was eventually arrested and crucified upside down. His death highlighted his steadfast faith and willingness to endure any suffering for the gospel. Philip's work laid the foundation for Christianity in these regions, leaving a legacy of unity and diversity. Bartholomew's mission to Armenia brought him face to face with violent resistance. Despite his gentle demeanor and unwavering dedication, he was captured by those who opposed his teachings. Tradition holds that Bartholomew was flayed alive before being beheaded, a gruesome death that speaks to the hostility faced by early Christians. His unyielding faith during such suffering turned his martyrdom into a profound statement of belief. Bartholomew's story is a chilling reminder of the sacrifices made by the apostles and the lengths they went to spread the gospel. Matthew's transformation from tax collector to apostle is one of the most compelling examples of Christ's redemptive power. Known for his gospel, Matthew's account of Jesus' life continues to inspire billions. After years of preaching, Matthew faced martyrdom. While accounts of his death vary, some suggest he was stabbed. Others say he was burned alive. His willingness to die for his faith remains undisputed. Matthew's life demonstrates that even the most despised individuals can find purpose and redemption through Christ. Thomas, doubting no more, journeyed farther than any of the apostles, spreading Christianity in India. He established thriving communities and built churches that still stand as symbols of his work. His mission, however, ended in tragedy. Opposing priests conspired against him, and he was speared to death near modern-day Chennai. Thomas's unwavering faith in the face of betrayal and violence reflects the strength of his transformation. Even in death, Thomas left a lasting legacy, showing that belief can overcome doubt and fear. Simon the Zealot's fervor for the gospel led him to Persia and possibly beyond. His missionary work encountered fierce opposition, and tradition suggests he was sawn in half or crucified for his efforts. Simon's nickname reflects his fiery dedication, a zeal that drove him to endure unimaginable suffering for his faith. His life serves as a testament to the power of passion when directed by divine purpose. Jude, often overshadowed by his peers, proved his faith through bold missionary work. Partnering with Simon the Zealot, he ventured into the Middle East, where they faced intense persecution. Jude met his end in Beirut, martyred by an axe. His steadfastness in the face of death reflected his devotion to Christ. Today, Jude is remembered as the patron saint of hopeless causes, a fitting legacy for one who brought hope to the darkest of times. The apostles' sacrifices solidified the foundation of the Christian church. Their blood, shed across continents, became the seed from which the faith grew. These men, once fishermen, tax collectors, and zealots, transformed into heroes of faith. Their lives remind us that greatness often comes from the humblest beginnings. The apostles' deaths were not the end, but the beginning of a legacy that endures to this day. Their stories are retold in churches, their relics venerated, and their teachings studied by millions. These men exemplify the ultimate act of devotion, laying down their lives for their faith. The apostles were united in their mission, and their stories remind us of the strength found in unity. Though separated by distance and death, they remained connected through their shared purpose and faith in Christ. Their sacrifices transformed the course of history, ensuring the spread of Christianity to all corners of the world. The apostles' courage in the face of unimaginable challenges continues to inspire believers. The story of the 12 apostles transcends time, reminding us that faith, courage, and sacrifice can change the world. These ordinary men became extraordinary through their devotion to Christ, spreading his message despite rejection, persecution, and death. Their lives teach us that greatness lies not in power or wealth, but in unwavering belief and selfless action. The apostles' legacy challenges us to reflect on our own faith. What are we willing to sacrifice for our convictions? How can we live lives of purpose and impact? Their courage, rooted in love and hope, continues to inspire believers across the world. As we honor their sacrifices, we are reminded that their mission lives on in all who choose to carry forward their message of redemption and faith.